Okay, everyone, welcome to this discussion on the insurance protection racket. The first installment. This will probably take, most likely take 2 videos to cover. Anyway, people have been paying insurance premiums for so long now, be it home insurance, car insurance, health insurance, you name it, that they sort of take it for granted that this is how it's always been. They always assume, like they do with taxes, that it's their duty. This is how society works. There's no way around it, and that it's actually beneficial for them as individuals as well as for society as a whole. But is it? Who really benefits in this game? Just what lies behind the insurance industry, and why are we being forced in so many cases by law to have insurance? Think about that. The government steps in and says you have to pay this company to, quote, insure you. Oh, what a good deal that is. Imagine opening up a business and setting up a sweetheart deal with the government so that everybody has to buy your product, once a week or once a month, right? Whether they want to or not, they have to do it. What a sweetheart deal that is. And guess what? That's all it is. There's no necessity for this. In fact, just look at how insurance premiums now are out of reach for most people. What the hell is insurance for? It's supposed to prevent you from going broke if, for example, you have an accident, right, with your auto insurance. The whole purpose of it is so that you don't go broke. You can't afford, to pay the compensation or pay for damages. The whole purpose is, insurance, supposedly, right, is there to, as a safety net to protect you in a case like that. But the reality is, not only can you not afford, if you're in an accident, to pay for compensation or damages, you can't even afford the insurance anymore. It's like health insurance, right? It was supposed to be to prevent you from going broke with doctor bills. Today, people are going broke with the insurance bills, the insurance premiums. They can't even afford that. Anyway, let's look at the history of the brief history of the insurance racket in America. The first major insurer in the U.S. was Benjamin Franklin. In 1752, with his help, the Philadelphia contribution ship for the insurance of house from loss by fire became, the first mutual fire insurance company in America. This company set standards for building houses because it refused to insure houses that were considered fire hazards. So now everybody was required to meet the standards of the insurance company. Look at the power, look at the control right from the start that these enterprises were exerting. The criteria that they used to evaluate buildings was eventually reworked into both building codes and zoning laws. So the government stepped in now and mandated this, but it was largely in compliance with demands by the insurance company. And you thought building codes and zoning laws were about your safety and general interest, right? No, they were and are only in the interest of big money, big insurance company money. Anyway, 7 years later, Franklin was also instrumental in establishing the first life insurance company, the Presbyterian Ministers Fund, as it was called. The various religious authorities at the time were outraged, at the practice of putting a value on human life, but criticism soon cooled when it was discovered that insurance had worked to protect widows and orphans, or at least that was the hook used to catch the fish, right? That's what lured people in. That's what really was a disguise so that it looked like a charitable enterprise now, right? Oh, well, we have to show concern for widows and children, orphan children. But that wasn't it. That was just the cover, right? The Industrial Revolution later brought the necessity of both business insurance and disability insurance to the forefront. You know, a lot of people were getting injured in the factories, right? Very unhealthy, unsafe working conditions. Throughout history, the types of insurance offered have been expanded in reaction to new risks. 1864 saw the Travelers Insurance Company sell its first accident policy. 1889 saw the first auto insurance policy. As time progressed, new types of insurance were blooming, along with the risks of an interestingly modern life. So, an increasingly modern life, I should say. So, you know, with every new invention, right? Oh, there's a risk there. Hope cha-ching. We can establish another. Instead of one policy across the board, right? Just pay one fee regardless the risk. Oh, no. They wanted multiple policies for every single different type of risk. So you want insurance for this? You got to pay that. You want insurance for that? You got to pay this. It's a big cha-ching factor, and all the while giving you the illusion of security. Look at today, right? People think they have security, but no, there isn't. You get in an accident, you got to pay a deductible. You know, you sometimes. Oh no, wait, no, you're at fault because blah 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 blah. They send assessors over and with a fine-tooth comb go over your vehicle, and they see that look, there's a little dent over here. That didn't happen from the accident. We're going to take away from that. Wait, there's a scratch here. God damn it, it's unbelievable. All the while, you're shelling out all this money, and when it comes time for you to actually collect, they got it rigged so that you're only going to get a fraction of what you should be getting, right? It doesn't insure anything except to screw you. That's the real insurance. You are insured, you're going to get screwed by the insurer, which you are, in most cases, obliged by law, obligated by law, to pay insurance premiums, to actually be insured. In Massachusetts now, when it comes to health insurance, yeah, they jack up health insurance premiums through the roof. And then when people can't afford them and start opting out of the insurance, finding ways to get around it. And in fact, most companies now, when they employ you, they don't even pay for your health insurance anymore, right? You don't get those benefits anymore. So now, to solve the problem, quote unquote, Massachusetts and other states are following suit now. Massachusetts has required every citizen to have health insurance. Required. You have to have it. And so people are forced now to shell out money they don't have because they can't afford to live in this rigged economy, but they'll be penalized if they don't get health insurance. So, you know, Massachusetts has a fairly decent health insurance program, but they're still going to suck your paycheck out, you know, to subsidize it, right? I mean, for you to pay your share, they'll subsidize most of it, but you still have to pay depending what your earnings are, you know, blah blah blah. You still got to pay for it, and you can't opt out. You have to have it. Imagine that. What a racket, man. What a racket. That's their solution, to punish people that can't afford health insurance premiums, to force them to pay them anyway. And, you know, even though, again, the state pays most of it, it's still another burden on your shoulders, right? When you're earning meager wages, and most people, that's all they're earning. Now, more money is going to be taken out. You still have to pay your, quote, fair share, right? All because of legal fiat. Anyway, With the explosion in insurance protection and the companies issuing them, the young insurance industry, 100, 150 years ago, was fraught with fraud and scandal from the start, just as it is today. Nothing has changed. They've just gotten better at hiding it. But yeah, it was filled with frauds and scandals right from the start. And why? Because elite Jew Zio pigs were running the show then, just as they are now. Just like today, the insurance business in the late 19th century was corrupt to the core, with problems such as companies issuing policies that did not actually have the capital to pay claims, right? Running instead like fragile Ponzi schemes, just like a bank, would deceive its depositors into thinking that, there's enough holdings so that they're not going to go belly up, when in fact they're lying, right? It's the same idea. Other problems at this time included insurers demanding unfairly high premiums, or foreign, or forcing out competitors, in an attempt to create a monopoly. Again, sound familiar? The bigger companies, right, were getting in bed with the government, getting policies passed that would force smaller companies out of business and thus get rid of their competition, sealing their monopoly. These are classic elite Zio tactics, practiced in all fields of business, but sure enough, they carried it over into the insurance scam. Many state laws at this time were passed to try and curb these various problems, or at least give that impression. But by the early 1900s, things were still amok, right? These early insurance companies were some of the nation's first real pyramid schemes. Later, in 1935, the Social Security system had come into effect, providing unemployment compensation and old age benefits. This took away some of the insurance companies' territory, i.e., it drove out of business, some Gentile companies. That's really all that it did, which is what they wanted. Social Security, of course, was yet another Zio frickin' scam. Socialism, designed to pick the public purse so as to create more poverty under the guise of alleviating it. With the advent of World War II, wage freezes had kicked in, and insurance companies, desperate to attract the workers, started offering group life and health insurance. These big policies went to large companies that could handle them. This swelled the big guys and starved out the little guys. Exactly what was intended, right? In 1944, the Supreme Court ruled that insurance should come under federal regulation, but Congress passed the McCarran-Ferguson Act in 1945, returning control to the state level. The elite Zios must not have been happy about this. They obviously didn't have Congress totally in their pocket yet at this point. From there, the big insurance companies had continued to grow, swallowing up smaller companies, securing their monopoly, expanding their monopoly as they went along, and thus consolidated their control over the whole industry, right? To the point now where today, look at you can't open up a small insurance company anymore. You just can't compete with them. They've put it out of the reach of the little guy, right? It's only the big boys now that get into this business and stay in this business. When it comes to health insurance, it's so disgusting. Both the doctors and the patients get screwed in this game, right? The insurance companies control everything. I remember as a kid back in the early 70s, doctors still made house visits, right? And they literally owned their own practice. They were the boss. They set all the policies. Not anymore. Doctors used to say, oh, well, if you can't afford my, the services in full, that's okay. I'll just establish a tab with you, and you can just pay me X amount every week or every month or, whatever. Not anymore. They have no say. Insurance companies dictate everything. They tell you what doctor you can see, right? They only have so many doctors on their plan, right? You can't pick your doc. I mean, well, within a narrow margin, you might be able to select, but for the most part, they determine who your doctor is, what kind of care you're going to get, if you're going to get it, when you're going to get it, what kind of procedure you can get, what surgery you can get, right? They're going to determine everything. They do determine everything. It's freaking unbelievable. I remember one doctor I had years ago. He was mouthing off, how fed up and disgusted he was with the whole damn mess. They even determined the cost of what your procedure is going to be or your treatment or whatever, right? They determine everything. And of course, because of the insurance middleman, doctors are not allowed to determine, they're not allowed to come see you anymore at your house, right? Oh, no, that's liability too. Unfreaking real. They completely hijacked the whole system such that now they dictate everything, right? Everything that involves insurance is dictated pretty much across the board by insurance. All doctors are able to do is pick one form of a very narrow selection, just like the patients have a very narrow selection, right? You got to pick what physician, they have to pick what treatment. They're under pressure, to use medications, right? They can't recommend. Some do, but they're actually risking their license, right? If they recommend anything alternative, the pressure is on. And plus, a lot of them are bribed with perks, right? To recommend medications and stuff that they know is not only not going to help you in many cases, it's going to make you worse, right? And, the only time you can see a specialist that isn't covered by your insurance, or isn't part of your insurance program, is if you get a recommendation, and even then it's very narrow what they'll cover, and you gotta very often, of course, pay a deductible, right? And those deductibles are pretty damn stiff. It's just you're forced to look at, step back and look at the whole situation and say, what the hell am I paying for here? Why am I shelling out all this money, every month for these insurance premiums? I'm not getting anything out of it. When it's time for me to collect on something, I'm getting shafted then too. Actually, I said you can't go see another doctor without a referral. But I think it's always has to be a doctor that's under the auspice of that insurance company. Yeah, I don't think they can make a referral to a doctor that isn't covered by that said insurance company that you have. Yeah, it always has to be, as far as I know. But in any case, it doesn't matter, right? If there's a doctor you're really comfortable with, you don't really have a choice, right? That you would prefer to visit. You break a leg or something, and you want to go to this specialist. You need a specialist. Your primary care physician, that's not his area of expertise. You got to go with the one they recommend, or the one the insurance company will allow to be recommended. Man, oh freaking man. And then, how about dental insurance? That's another fiasco, right? Again, why isn't there just insurance across the board? No, they got to have a specialty insurance for every single conceivable, need you might have. Very often, dental insurance is even more stiff than health insurance, right? And at that, the coverage is crap. A lot of policies only cover, one cleaning a year, and then you might get, I don't know, 1 or 2 fillings or something. If you need a root canal or something, oh, forget it. They're not going to cover it. Or if they do, you got a stiff copay or whatever. Man, oh man, it's wretched. Most dental insurance policies, too, only pay so much per patient per year, right? So if you need several things done, you got to stretch it out over several years. But in the meantime, if your teeth are rotten out of your head, you don't have the luxury of waiting, right? They'll only pay, whatever it is, $2,000 a year or $3,000 a year. Well, one tooth can be $2,000 right there, right? So if you need, say, 3 root canals, you're going to wind up losing 2 of your teeth. You can only get 1 of them fixed, right? Because that's all they'll cover for that year. God damn it, man. Even the best dental insurance policies only cover 2/3 of the cost of a root canal or a crown, right? Which leaves the patient to pay the remaining $1,000 or so, for a root canal, $300 or so for a crown. Hey, that adds up, doesn't it? So, you call this insurance? The medical insurance fiasco is so out of control in Massachusetts, like I said, that, every resident now is required to have insurance. Doesn't matter that they can't afford it, right? And in most cases, on average, if you're working but not, making big bucks, you're going to pay at least $100 a month to the state of Massachusetts for their coverage program that they require you to have. For some people, $100 is all that it takes to push a person over the edge, right? And all they look at is, oh, you're making X amount of money, so you have to pay this much for insurance. They don't look at what your income to bill ratio is. You might not be able to squeeze out $100, but you have to do it now because it's made, it's become law. This has really screwed a lot of people over. What a bitch of a farragon system this is, man. And you watch, this is probably going to go nationwide eventually. Things like this always do. They'll use states like Massachusetts as a testing ground to see how it goes. Oh, good, yeah, we're screwing people over and they're putting up with it. Let's go nationwide with this now. You got to love it, too, because if you're unemployed, on disability or something, you get full coverage, right? Which, fine, that's nice. That, you can't afford it, right? If you're rich, obviously, you don't need insurance. You pay for your own healthcare costs. But if you're in the middle, if you're working, that's when you get screwed. Because now they're going to come down on you and zap you here, there, and everywhere. And that's what it's designed to do, right? The poor, they're already poor and dependent on the government. They already got them backed into a corner. It's the middle class. They're certainly not targeting the rich, right? No, it's the middle class. And so you can see how this was designed to screw over the middle class. They don't get the assistance that they need, right? they're made to pay out of pocket a good deal of it. And so, yeah, there you go. There you go. And that's why we have one of the reasons why we have what's called the working poor today, right? You're working and yet you can't get by. Just rent alone, guys. In this state, you'd be hard pressed to find an apartment under $2,500 a month, right? $2,500 a month. The average worker, after taxes, aren't even taking home $2,500 a month. So you can see how when the state now tells you, oh, you got to pay out 100, 150 or whatever for health insurance, you can see how that just pushes a person over the edge, right? That's money they need for food, for example, that's gone through the roof. This goddamn friggin' sleazy ass bitch of a system should have been overthrown a long time ago. Revolutions have been started. I'm not talking about the Jew-rigged ones. I'm talking about, just people rising up and saying enough. Revolutions have been started for far less than what we're seeing now going on in this country, what they're getting away with. Anyway, and who benefits from all of this garbage? Need I tell you? On to the auto insurance industry in a little more detail here. In many states, like Massachusetts now, you can't get your car registered until you first present insurance papers. You have to have it insured first. Who do you think set that up? Again, though, it's always made out to look like it's in the best interest of you and society. Yeah, the hell it is. Anyway, suppose you had an ice cream shop and passed a law that, everyone in your town had to buy ice cream from you at least once a month, like I was saying before, right? Imagine a sweetheart deal like that. You'd be all set. Your business is secure, right? How outrageous that would be. People would be so infuriated over it. And yet, this is what the insurance companies have done, right? They require you to do business with them by law because of little sweetheart deals they worked out with, your respective states. This is exactly the power that insurance companies have. And even more, right? They not only require you to do business with them, but they set so many other stipulations that you got to be in compliance with. In some states, like California, Massachusetts, and New Jersey, auto insurance is so incredibly high that monthly premiums amount to almost as much as the average car payment, for God's sakes, especially for young drivers or drivers with a bad track record, right? They're always looking for ways to raise your premiums. Oh, you're at risk. Even though you haven't had an accident, you're at risk because you're 16 or 17 years old, blah, blah, blah. Always looking for ways to suck more money out of your pocket. For every speeding ticket, and that's very easy to get, right? Many people don't even intentionally drive fast. It's just they're keeping pace with everybody else, right? And you might be the lucky lottery winner, the one they decided to pull over, even though everybody else is speeding. Or how about this? 2 a.m. when nobody's on the frickin' road, right? Nobody's around, and you think, oh, what the hell? I'm not going to endanger anybody going a few miles over the speed limit. Bang! Here comes a cop hiding behind some bushes, pulls out and frickin' bags you and slaps a huge fine on you when you're not endangering anyone. It's much easier to pull you over, though, at 2 a.m, isn't it? Because there's nobody else on the road. You're not a threat. You're not driving to endanger. It's such a joke. And, oh, are they stiff penalties. I remember years ago, it was just a flat fee, $50, right, for speeding. Now, oh, no. Now it's determined how fast you're going over the speed limit. And half the time, those things aren't even accurate anyway, right? They always tell you there's a 5-mile leeway. But anyway, yeah, now you're going to spend hundreds of dollars for a speeding ticket. Something else that really can push people over the edge and often does. And for every one of those, not only is the ticket itself a burden, but now, cha-ching, up goes your premiums every month now with every frickin' speeding ticket. And in Massachusetts, and I'm sure many other states, you will lose your license with 3 speeding tickets in a year. That's it. They take it. 3 speeding tickets. And it's not difficult, right? So many cops are overzealous to want to pull you over. I don't know, maybe they get free tickets to the policeman's ball or something for meeting their quota. They do have quotas, which means they have to assign so many speeding tickets every month, right? They literally have to meet a quota. How arbitrary is that? How disgusting and oppressive is that? So they're out looking to give out tickets. So it's not very difficult for people to get 3 speeding tickets in a year. Bang, they'll take your license. I don't know how it is in other states, but that's how it is in Massachusetts, God damn it. And you got to love how insurance companies punish people that can't afford to pay for better policies, right? They get stuck with a policy where if you do get in an accident, you got to pay a huge deductible. So you might get away with low premiums, but you get in an accident and you get screwed, and you're not going to be able to afford the deductible, right? It's kind of like a bank charging someone an overdraft fee and then telling them that the only way to avoid the overdraft fee is to maintain an account with a minimum of $5,000 in it. But most people don't have that luxury, right? It's only the wealthy that can do that. And, when you have that kind of money, you're not likely going to have an overdraft to begin with, right? So what's the result of this? Well, how does this play out? The ones who can't afford these penalties are the ones who get charged with them. The ones who can afford to pay them never get charged them. The system is designed to kick you in the teeth when you're down. Kick them when they're down. That's how all of these bitch enterprises operate. And we can thank you-know-who for all of this, guys. I'll never forget, back in the early 90s, Massachusetts auto insurance companies decided that they didn't make enough money off of people, policyholders, the previous year. So they lobbied the Massachusetts Senate and got them to approve a measure that required all policyholders in the state of Massachusetts to pay a retroactive payment for the previous year of $75 each. Everyone, I think it was in 93, if I'm not mistaken, 30 years ago, everyone in Massachusetts, I remember getting this bill. I was so pissed off like everyone else. Everyone was required to pay $75 for the previous year because they said they didn't make enough money. This was, again, a little sweetheart deal that they made with their buddies at the State House. What an absolute miserable bargain fraud. They pulled it off. They got away with it. Yeah. And they said if you didn't pay it, they were going to cancel your goddamn policy. It amounted to hundreds of millions of dollars in illicit profits. And totally they got away with it, right? Anyway. How about house insurance? Many people shell out house insurance payments every month for their whole lives without ever having to collect on it, right? It just pissing money away out the window, just how they want it. Some would count this a blessing, being glad that their house wasn't broken into, burnt in a fire, or damaged in a flood, of course. Yeah. In fact, pretty much everybody would say, well, that's good that I didn't have to collect. I don't want to have to collect because that means I'm going to have to, go through the trauma, the stress of, a burglary or fire or whatever, a flood. But nevertheless, though, just think about how much money is shelled out to the insurance company all these years, literally for nothing. This is the case with the whopping bulk of home insurance policy holders, right? They just shell out year after year after year after year, and literally never get anything out of it except the illusion of security. And even if something did happen to their house, it's not security, right? They're going to find all kinds of ways to whack you. You're never really going to get what you think you're going to get. It's never a lose game for the insurer, and it's never a win game for the homeowner. But then, on the rare occasion when a tragedy does strike, of course, again, the homeowner gets the shaft, right? If his house burns down, he might be told, for example, that his policy doesn't cover the damage to his home, even though he had fire insurance, because the fire started by a lightning strike. And so it doesn't, that's an act of God clause that exempts the insurance company from, liability, right? There's all kinds of little loopholes like that, and they look for them too. Any way that they can get out of having to, pay out for damages. Absolutely outrageous. And here's something even more outrageous. Sometimes people can wind up paying out over the years more money to an insurance company than what they paid for their house to begin with, right? Why should someone be made to pay out more than what their house is actually worth in the first place? There's no cutoff. They can keep charging you till the cows come home, way beyond the value. It's the same with a car, right? You can buy a cheap car for, you used to be able to buy a cheap secondhand car for like $3-4 grand. Nope, not anymore. Now, the used cars, you're still going to pay, 15-20 grand, right? For a used car. But in any case, over the years that you own the car, if you take care of it and it lasts for a while, you will, in fact, shell out more money, especially in this state where insurance is so frickin' high. You will shell out more money to insure your car than what the car is actually worth. Why is there no cutoff point after so many years? Okay, you've paid out the total value of what your car is worth. So, why doesn't the government say, nope, this is extortion, this is unfair, there's no need to keep paying premiums every year when no, they're going to keep charging you anyway. Then there's life insurance. When one applies for a life insurance policy, the company wants to know everything about your health, your lifestyle, your habits, etc., right? If you have the slightest health problem, most companies will simply turn you down. Once again, we see that insurance is only for those who don't really need it. The rich and the healthy, right? It's a complete, miserable, rotten, lying fraud. Everything is. Can you name anything in this fogged up world of ours that isn't a fraud? Not only are criminal Zio-Jew bastards behind the health insurance industry, they're behind the healthcare reform movement as well. In fact, there was a website, I don't know if it's still up, but as of a few years ago, there was a Jewish website dedicated to this whole topic of healthcare reform called JewsForHealthcare.org. Anyway, let's take a look at some big names, Jewish names in the insurance industry. This is very telling. Lloyd's of London, very big insurance monopoly in England, right? Its chairman was Lloyd Levine. I believe he's still the chairman. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company, Steve Rasmussen was the CEO. I think he still is. AccuQuote, another big name in the insurance business. Byron Udell, the CEO, another Jew. American International Group, AIG, right? Good old AIG. Bob Benmosh was the president and CEO as of a few years ago. I don't know if he still is, but American National Insurance Company, Robert Moody, chairman and CEO. Assurant, Blaine Rosen, the chairman. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, chairman and CEO. Charlie Munger was the vice chairman as a few years ago. CNA Financial, Thomas Motamed, chairman and CEO. Colonial Life and Accident Insurance Company, Randall Horn, CEO. All Jews, guys. Country Financial, John Blackburn, CEO. Chartis, Robert Schmeck, CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Infinity Property and Casualty Corporation, James Gober, President and CEO. Fidelity International, Barry Bailman, Manager, another Jew. John Hancock Insurance, parent company is Manulife Financial. This company had Donald Guillotin as president and CEO as of a few years ago. Markel Corporation had Alan Kirshner as chairman of the Donard and CEO, chairman of the board and CEO. Merchants Insurance Group had Robert Zack, president and CEO. Mercury Insurance Group had George Joseph as founder and chairman. MetLife, C. Robert Henriksen as chairman. Mutual of America had Thomas Moran as CEO. Mutual of Omaha had Daniel Neary, chairman and CEO. Pacific Life had James Morris, president, chairman, and CEO. Primerica, John Addison, co-CEO. Principal Financial Group, Larry Zimpelman as chairman and CEO. Prudential Financial, John Strangfeld, chairman and CEO. Just on and on and on it goes here. I hate to sound redundant just naming off this big list, but it's important just so you can see how absolutely domineering Jews are in this whole industry, always have been. Reliance Insurance Company, Saul Steinberg, chairman and CEO. Safeway Insurance Group, Robert Bondman, CEO. Century Insurance, Dale Schub, chairman of the board and CEO. Shelter Insurance, Dave Moore, president and CEO. TIAA CREF had Robert Ferguson, president and CEO. Wells Fargo had an insurance branch. John Stumpf, chairman, president, and CEO. American Fidelity Insurance, Bill Cameron, chairman and CEO. Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association, Scott Sirota, President and CEO. HealthNet, Jay Gellert, CEO. Zenith Insurance Company, Stanley Zacks, CEO. Aflac, Dan Amos, Chairman and CEO. All of them Jews. And the list goes on and on. Anyway, you get the idea, guys. You want to know why the whole damn industry is so screwed up and why people are driven into poverty with an enterprise that's supposed to prevent that very thing from happening? There you go. There you go. Every avenue of society is completely screwed, and it's because of these criminal monstrosities. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.